You probably think your cat is being fed correctly every single day. But some feeding habits quietly change how their body functions long before anything looks wrong. What makes this difficult to notice is how normal everything appears. Your cat eats, walks away, and nothing seems out of place. But small patterns begin forming underneath that routine. And those patterns tend to build before they ever show themselves. Have you ever noticed how your cat's behavior around food shifts slightly over time? That change usually starts before you realize anything has changed at all. One of the earliest changes doesn't happen in behavior. It happens inside the body, where the feeding pattern no longer matches their biology. Cats are designed to eat small, frequent meals throughout the day. Each one naturally contains high moisture and animal-based nutrients. But most feeding routines follow a completely different structure, and that difference creates a quiet imbalance that builds slowly. At first, nothing seems off. Your cat continues eating as usual without hesitation, but internally, the body begins adjusting to that mismatch. And once it adjusts, the signals become harder to recognize. This is usually where people lose track of what's actually happening, because the body adapts before it shows clear signs. Have you ever seen your cat drink very little water but still eat normally? That behavior is tied more to their food than their actual thirst. Dry food typically contains around 5 to 10% moisture. A natural prey-based diet contains closer to 70%. That difference forces the body to compensate quietly, and most of that compensation happens through the kidneys. Over time, this changes how hydration is maintained internally, even if a water bowl is always available nearby. And here's where it becomes less obvious. Many cats that seem completely fine are already functioning in mild dehydration. Have you ever actually watched how often your cat drinks water in a full day? For many cats, it's far less than what their system was built for. And this is where the pattern begins to shift, because hydration is influenced more by food than most people expect. Another change starts with portion size. Most feeding amounts are estimated visually instead of measured precisely. An indoor cat needs roughly 20 calories per pound per day. Even a small daily excess begins storing as fat over time. But here's what makes this harder to catch. Weight gain in cats often starts internally before it becomes visible externally. Fat tissue in cats actively affects hormone signaling, including how insulin responds after meals. Over time, this reduces how efficiently glucose is processed, which is one of the pathways that leads toward feline diabetes. Have you ever seen a cat look completely normal and then suddenly be labeled overweight? That shift didn't happen suddenly, it just became visible all at once. And this is where feeding frequency becomes important. Most cats are fed once or twice a day in large portions, but their natural pattern involves multiple smaller meals, often spread throughout both day and night. When food is concentrated into fewer meals, insulin spikes more sharply, and those spikes create internal stress that builds gradually. Here's where it gets more interesting. Some cats don't gain energy after eating, they become more withdrawn. Have you ever seen your cat eat and then immediately lie down or disengage? That response can reflect how their body is processing that meal. And this is where multiple patterns begin connecting together, because feeding is not just about nutrients, but structure and timing. Another shift happens with free feeding. Leaving food out all day removes natural eating boundaries. Some cats regulate intake without issue, but many begin eating beyond what their body requires. This creates a constant digestive state, where insulin remains active for longer than intended. And here's what most people don't realize. A constantly active digestive system reduces metabolic flexibility over time. Have you ever seen your cat return to the bowl repeatedly without clear hunger? That pattern often reflects routine rather than actual need. Another detail appears when food types are changed too quickly. Cats have digestive systems that adapt slowly to new inputs. Their gut microbiome depends on consistency. Sudden changes disrupt that balance almost immediately. This can show up as vomiting or stool changes. But the deeper effect involves microbial instability. And this is where things become less visible, because gut health directly influences immune function. Have you ever changed your cat's food and felt like something was slightly off afterward? That subtle shift often begins internally before you can define it. Another factor involves protein quality. Cats require specific amino acids that must come from animal sources. One of the most critical is taurine, which supports heart function, vision, and neurological stability. But here's where it becomes less obvious. A food can appear complete while still lacking effective absorption. If taurine is insufficient over time, serious conditions can develop, including heart muscle dysfunction that progresses quietly. Have you ever seen a cat eat consistently but slowly lose vitality? That disconnect often comes from utilization rather than intake. And this is usually the point people overlook, because labels show quantity, but not how the body actually uses it. If you're starting to notice how these patterns connect, stay with this next part, because what follows links feeding habits to long-term internal changes most people miss. Another shift appears with treats. Treats are often higher in fat and designed to be highly stimulating. Frequent use changes taste preference and can lead to rejection of balanced meals. But here's what most people don't notice. Palatability can override natural appetite regulation signals. Over time, this creates nutritional imbalance, even when total intake seems controlled. Have you ever seen your cat ignore regular food but react instantly to treats? That reaction is driven more by stimulation than actual hunger. Another layer appears with human food. Certain ingredients are not processed safely by cats. Onions and garlic can damage red blood cells. Excess sodium disrupts internal fluid balance. But here's where it becomes subtle. Damage from these foods often accumulates slowly rather than appearing immediately. Even small amounts given repeatedly can build over time and lead to long-term physiological effects. Have you ever given a small piece of food thinking it wouldn't matter? That moment can repeat in ways the body quietly tracks. Another mistake involves feeding environment. Cats prefer calm, low-stress conditions when eating. Noise, movement, or poor placement creates subtle discomfort, which changes how and when they eat. Some cats eat quickly and leave. Others hesitate and return multiple times. But here's the part that often gets missed. Eating under stress changes how food is processed internally. Have you ever watched your cat walk away and come back again and again? That pattern often reflects discomfort rather than indecision. And this is where the full picture starts to form. Because feeding is not a single action. It's a system of repeated patterns, and each one shapes how the body responds over time. There is one insight that changes how all of this is understood. Feeding is not just about giving food, but maintaining biological alignment. When that alignment stays consistent, the body functions efficiently. When it shifts, small imbalances begin to build. And those imbalances rarely appear immediately. They develop through routines that feel completely normal. Have you ever thought about feeding as a long-term system instead of a daily task? That perspective changes how every small decision adds up. Once you start noticing these patterns, your cat's behavior becomes easier to understand. And if you want to go deeper into what they're actually communicating, the next video breaks it down further. The way your cat eats is never just about a single moment. It's a pattern that builds over time, often in ways that are easy to miss. If this information helped you, consider subscribing and check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.